Imagine sitting across from a woman younger than you, and suddenly the air feels delicate. Every word, every expression seems to carry weight, as if one wrong move could break the flow of the moment. Even though you have lived through challenges, gained experience, and built confidence over the years, in her presence an unexpected unease appears. You begin to wonder what she wants, worried that her interest might slip away. The truth is, this uncertainty is not solved by money, appearance, or attempts to impress. What truly changes everything is your ability to remain composed. The moment you let go of that composure, the connection weakens. Yet when you stand firm, when your words and actions flow from calmness and steadiness, something shifts. Confidence becomes natural rather than forced. And this is felt instinctively. You do not need to pretend to be younger or rely on clever tricks. What matters is refusing to give up your inner authority. That sense of grounded presence is what draws others in, especially those who value strength expressed with quiet assurance. In this session, I will share 5 principles that define masculine presence. These ideas are not about manipulation, but about rediscovering stability within yourself. If you are ready to move past doubt and grow into that steadiness, I encourage you to subscribe so you can continue learning alongside this journey. Now, let us begin. The first principle is this: respond to her challenges with maturity. A younger woman, especially one with many options, will naturally test the strength of your character. This is not manipulation, but instinct. She is searching for an answer to a quiet question. Is this man steady, or will he crumble when pressure appears? These small evaluations take different forms, sometimes playful, sometimes dismissive, sometimes distant. Whatever the form, the purpose is the same. Take the example of Daniel, a 52-year-old business owner in Ohio, who returned to dating after divorce. He meets Claire, a 29-year-old yoga teacher, and at first their connection feels effortless. Soon, the dynamic shifts. She shows up late without apology, then later smirks when he talks about his career, saying, "You sound like my dad." Daniel laughs nervously and immediately launches into a long defense of why his work matters. Later, he texts her, seeking reassurance that she is not upset. At that moment, he failed her unspoken test. Her aim was not to push him away, but to see if the maturity he carried was real or fragile. When he reacted from insecurity, the spark between them faded. The mistake was not that Daniel is flawed, but that he lost his center. Maintaining presence means holding steady even when her mood wavers. It means avoiding the need for reassurance, refusing to chase after clarity, and not allowing yourself to be pulled into her turbulence. Many women are drawn to older men precisely because they expect stability. The moment you prove otherwise, attraction slips now. Imagine that scene again. Claire makes the same remark with the same smirk. This time, Daniel meets her eyes, smiles faintly, and replies, "You enjoy testing men, don't you?" He does not wait for her reaction. Instead, he shifts the conversation and calmly orders a drink. That single choice changes everything. He offers no defense, no apology, only quiet self-possession. Her curiosity is stirred because she senses his steadiness. Consider another case. Thomas, a 47-year-old agency founder in Austin, meets Emily, a 30-year-old designer. On their second date, she says, "I'm not looking for anything serious." Many men would panic, argue, or plead. Instead, Thomas leans back, smiles, and replies, "That's fine. My only serious plan is to enjoy this evening." Then he takes a sip of his drink. The tension dissolves, and she leans in closer. His calmness made the connection stronger. Passing these tests is not about dominance. It is about tranquility. It communicates, I value myself, I welcome your company, but I do not depend on you. And the reality is, these moments never end. They only evolve. The more composed you appear, the more she will look to see if it is real. She is not hoping for your failure. She is searching for assurance that your stability is genuine. So when she criticizes, withdraws, or throws a challenge, resist the urge to explain or defend. Let the tension breathe. Let your calm silence speak for you. If she discovers you cannot be shaken, she will be drawn closer. This is the lesson many men overlook. They try endlessly to impress, not realizing the true evaluation is of their composure. But you have the chance to be different. If you have ever felt yourself falter and watched attraction fade, then you already know what is at stake. Make this the turning point. Say it now, without hesitation, I maintain my composure. There is a quiet destroyer of attraction that often goes unnoticed. It appears when a man seeks permission before taking initiative. On the surface, it may feel polite or respectful, yet from her perspective, every request for approval signals hesitation, and hesitation erodes presence. True confidence does not reveal itself through constant questions like, "Is this all right?" or "What would you like me to do?" It shows through steadiness, through action that comes from self-mastery. This tendency appears in small but telling moments. You suggest a restaurant, then instantly retreat when she hesitates. You reach for her hand but stop to ask if it is acceptable. You plan an evening, then anxiously wait for her approval before moving forward. Each of these reveals uncertainty. Attraction does not grow from a man who needs reassurance at every step. It grows from a man sure of his own direction, who invites her to walk with him but does not hand her the map. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. The wisdom applies directly. Stop doubting every action. Step forward with calm conviction. Allow her to feel the steadiness of your decisions, because within that steadiness she finds comfort." Many younger women encounter men who are cautious to the point of passivity. They are not searching for control, but for the grounded assurance of someone who acts with quiet strength. Stoicism reminds us that our only true authority is over ourselves, over our thoughts and choices. As Epictetus taught, freedom begins the moment we no longer live in constant pursuit of external approval. To lead does not mean to be dismissive or rude. It means initiating with clarity, guiding with presence, and moving forward with composure. If she resists, you do not collapse. You adjust where sensible, but you remain unshaken. This is the kind of energy that allows her to relax and trust. When she is freed from the burden of steering, she is able to enjoy the journey fully. Attraction grows, not from proving your worth, but from standing calmly in it. This is not arrogance. It is rare security. In practice, it can be as simple as ordering confidently for the table, starting conversations with ease, or initiating closeness with intuitive awareness rather than a string of verbal checks. You stay connected to her without being controlled by her responses. Ironically, the more you ask for her approval, the less she grants it, because at that point you appear not as a partner but as someone seeking permission to belong, and she will never simply hand over that role. Instead, she will test it, question it, even pretend to take it herself, while quietly hoping you will claim it with strength. You have likely felt this before. A moment when you knew the right move but held back. A moment when hesitation diluted what could have been powerful. Later, when the spark faded, the reason became painfully clear. This is more than hesitation. It is a small betrayal of your instincts, and each time it happens, it conditions you to doubt yourself further. You yield control, encourage her to lead, and weaken your presence. But this cycle can end here. The fact that you are still listening shows you are ready. This is not about impressing others. It is about remembering the part of yourself that needs no outside validation. If you feel this truth, if you are ready to stop asking and start leading, speak it now with certainty. Say the words without hesitation. I don't ask, I lead. Our third principle is this: remain steady when she is turbulent. The true tests of attraction do not appear during harmony. They arise when emotions are unsettled, when she withdraws, criticizes, or lashes out. In such moments, your instinct may be to defend yourself, explain, or soothe her. That path, however, drains attraction. The most powerful response is to stay composed, to let her storm pass without losing your own balance. Take the case of Jonathan, a 55-year-old finance professional in San Diego, divorced for years, disciplined in health, and devoted to reading Stoic philosophy. He begins dating Laura, a 31-year-old marketing manager who is intelligent, magnetic, and prone to intensity. Their first weeks together feel promising. Then, at dinner one evening, Laura turns sharp. Why did you take so long to reply to my text? You barely ask about my work. Do you even care about this relationship? Jonathan feels his chest tighten, ready to justify and defend. His impulse is to argue or prove his devotion. Instead, he takes a breath, keeps his voice calm, and replies, "It sounds like something is weighing on you tonight. Are you all right?" At that moment, the dynamic changes. Laura pauses because her outburst was not about logic, but turbulence seeking stability. By refusing to enter her storm, Jonathan became the anchor. This is the quiet strength of composure. It either allows her to settle into calm or reveals incompatibility. But in both cases, he retains his authority over himself. Stoicism does not teach numbness. It teaches sovereignty of emotion. It means feeling fully, but refusing to let another person's turmoil dictate your own state. Many women are used to men who echo their emotions. When she withdraws, they chase. When she criticizes, they scramble to appease. When she grows tense, they grow anxious. To cultivate presence, you must do the opposite. Set the emotional tone instead of absorbing hers. Jonathan did not dismiss Laura's feelings. He gave space for them while holding steady in his own center. This is what creates the container that allows her to feel safe. Safety of this kind is not always dramatic, yet it reshapes the connection. A few days later, Laura messaged Jonathan, "Thank you for staying calm the other night. It mattered more than I can say." Her words reveal the deeper truth. In heated moments, she was not demanding solutions. She was searching for proof that his strength could outlast her turbulence, that his energy would not collapse under pressure. Too often men mistake composure for indifference. In reality, composure is magnetic. It carries a message. I have faced worse. I have endured greater trials. A passing storm cannot shake me. If you have seen attraction vanish as emotions intensified, this may have been the missing element. She was not seeking answers. She was searching for stability. When she feels that steadiness, she draws closer. Your calm in the midst of her chaos eases her isolation and gives her a sense of security. Perhaps you have already experienced such a moment, when you resisted the urge to argue or defend and instead chose stillness. You know the strength it brings. If you have not, trust that you can. When turbulence arises, remember these principles. Do not chase, do not rush to fix, and do not surrender your ground. Simply remain composed. If this lesson resonates, acknowledge it now for your own clarity and growth. Our fourth principle is to cultivate an aura of mystery that draws her in. This quality is often more powerful than wealth, appearance, or even eloquence. Yet true mystery is not about games, disappearing acts, or calculated silence. It comes naturally when you live a full and independent life, one that she is invited into gradually, never all at once. The reason many younger women are fascinated by older men is not only maturity. It is the sense that he is a puzzle, a story with layers, someone she cannot fully define. There is an inner world behind his eyes, rich with experience and depth, and only glimpses of it are revealed. That curiosity fuels desire. Too many men, however, rush to lay everything bare. They recount their history on the first date, justify every opinion, and over-explain each thought. In doing so, they strip away discovery, leaving no space for intrigue. When there is nothing left to explore, attraction fades. A man grounded in presence understands that access to his inner life is not an entitlement. It is something she earns over time. This is not concealment, but the Stoics embodied this principle of quiet strength. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be a writer, write. The point is to live what you are, rather than speak endlessly about it." The same holds true here. You do not need to narrate every detail of your life. Allow her to sense things, to wonder, to imagine. Silence, when held with confidence, is more compelling than words. Mystery does not mean distance. It means that your presence is selective and intentional. You share yourself when the moment carries weight, not out of nervous habit. You listen more than you explain. You allow her curiosity to guide the timing of what you reveal. Because your life has its own structure and purpose. She sees that there are depths to you she has not yet reached, and perhaps never fully will. This tension between what is seen and what remains hidden is where desire is born. Her aim is not to own you completely, but to explore you. She wants to know that more layers exist, and that they unfold gradually, never instantly. Even in closeness, you preserve that sense of wonder. This is the difference between being predictable and being unforgettable. Others reveal everything and become ordinary. You maintain intrigue, and with it, magnetism. This does not require elaborate strategy. It requires restraint. When she asks what you were thinking, sometimes a small smile says more than a paragraph. When she presses for explanation, let her feel the weight of your silence. Great men have always commanded attention by speaking less, yet with impact. Their presence lingers precisely because they leave room for the imagination. Now, reflect honestly. Have you been too quick to reveal everything? Have you tried to impress her instead of inspiring curiosity? If you recognize this in yourself and are ready to change, decide now. Let this be your standard moving forward. I do not explain, I intrigue. Our fifth principle is to take ownership of your emotions instead of outsourcing them. The moment you allow someone else to dictate your mood, you have given away your composure. If a delayed reply, a critical comment, or a passing glance can throw you into turmoil, then your emotions are not yours. They are being rented out to her reactions. Think of Robert, a 50-year-old contractor in Arizona who re-entered dating after a long and stagnant marriage. He began seeing Julia, a 33-year-old divorcee, lively, intelligent, and unpredictable. At first their chemistry was electric, and Robert felt alive again. But within weeks, Julia grew distant. She delayed her replies, mentioned an ex more than once, and seemed less engaged. Robert's confidence wavered. Anxiety took hold. He obsessed over message times, dissected every phrase she used, and convinced himself something was wrong. By their next meeting, Robert carried this unease with him. He appeared defensive and tense. Julia noticed a shift immediately. The issue was not his words, but the energy behind them. He was no longer grounded. He was reacting to her rather than living from his own center. This is what happens when a man gives up control of his emotional state. He ceases to be the sun, steady and life-giving, and becomes a weather vane twisting in every breeze. A self-possessed man feels deeply, but he does not allow each feeling to dictate his choices. Seneca reminded us that much of our suffering comes not from reality, but from imagination. The Stoic path is mastery of thought and emotion, not suppression. It is the ability to notice a surge of feeling, breathe, and then respond with intention. Faced with Julia's distance, Robert could have acknowledged his discomfort and continued on with his day, maintaining focus on his work, his health, and the pursuits within his control. Instead, he surrendered his emotional state to her actions, and with that, attraction faltered. The truth is that respect fades when a woman realizes she can unseat your mood so easily. Attraction diminishes not because you feel, but because you lack stability in what you feel. The men who hold the deepest appeal are not cold or detached. They are steady. Their emotions exist, but they are private, not dictated by outside events. This calm presence gives a woman a sense of security. She knows you can absorb turbulence without collapsing under it. True strength is not hardness. It is the ability to remain centered, to stay kind, to think clearly even when emotions rise. This is emotional leadership, and it begins with mastery of self. Reflect honestly. When was the last time you let a single remark or moment pull you off course? How often have you allowed your state to depend on another's actions? If you recognize this pattern, let this be your turning point. Make the declaration now for your own benefit. I am the master of my own state. When you embrace this principle, everything changes. The sixth principle is to communicate with passion and then deliberately withdraw. In every developing connection, there comes a moment when attraction is clearly building. She leans in, her attention sharpens, and you feel the energy between you rising. At this point, many men make the same mistake. They keep pressing forward, talking endlessly, oversharing, and crowding the space. What is truly powerful, however, is the ability to alternate between intensity and restraint. This is not about playing games. It is about creating a rhythm that heightens desire. You show her glimpses of your passion, your playful wit, and your depth of thought. You look her directly in the eye, say something meaningful, and let the spark ignite. Then you step back with calmness. You do not rush to fill the silence. You do not chase validation or immediately offer explanations. You give the moment space to breathe. It is in that space where attraction takes root. Because desire grows between the experience of wanting more and the uncertainty of when it will return. Seneca reminded us that life, feels short, not from lack of time, but from wasting it. Many men waste their energy by over-pursuing once the spark is already alive. They speak when silence would have said more, and they pressed forward when a pause would have deepened the impact. The Stoic principle of temperance teaches the wisdom of balance, of knowing when to give and when to hold back. By embodying this, you ignite warmth, then retreat with composure, leaving her to feel the contrast. It is the interplay that captivates. Mystery alone fades, and passion alone overwhelms. Together they create a rhythm that is unforgettable. Many fall into extremes, either aloof and unapproachable, or endlessly eager and overexpressive. The stronger path is fluidity. Approach with intent, then recede like the tide. This subtle contrast communicates, I welcome closeness, and I am equally at ease in my independence. Such balance is magnetic. You capture her attention, then demonstrate you do not rely on it. You leave her with the memory of your intensity, then with the awareness that your life moves forward whether she follows or not. This is not rudeness, nor manipulation. It is leadership over your own energy. It shows that you can feel deeply without being consumed, that you can connect without losing your center. This is what makes you memorable, so when chemistry grows, resist the temptation to escalate endlessly. Instead, let your words land with weight. Hold her gaze a second longer, then create calm space. Do not punish her with absence, but guide the moment by showing you understand contrast. Like art, attraction thrives on light and shadow, on passion and stillness. When you embody both, you spark a deeper pull in her, a desire to see more, to earn more of your focus. This is when the dynamic turns. If in the past you have smothered attraction by lingering too long, know you are not alone. That pattern can end now. Adopt this as your standard. I am the master of the emotional contrast. Once you live this truth, she will feel it without words, and it will set you apart. The seventh principle is to communicate more with your gaze and less with your words. Some of the most powerful messages you will ever send do not require speech. They come through presence, stillness, and the ability to let silence work in your favor. This silence is not weakness or hesitation, it is authority. It is the quiet confidence of a man who does not need to over-explain himself to be understood. Take Brian, a 58-year-old martial arts instructor from Austin. For years he defaulted to the role of the agreeable, nice guy, polite, overly accommodating, constantly explaining himself in an effort to seem harmless. Everything shifted when he began seeing Jade, a 34-year-old woman with beauty, sharp wit, and a reputation for keeping men off balance. On their second date, Jade tested him directly. So, what are your true intentions here? Instead of launching into justification, Brian simply met her gaze. His eyes held calmness, strength, and certainty. He didn't rush to fill the air. In that pause, his presence communicated more than words ever could. I know what I want, but I don't need to prove it. The effect was immediate. Rather than disarming him with her sharp question, she found herself intrigued. A man who doesn't scramble to fill every silence, who doesn't dilute his presence with endless chatter, conveys something rare, unpredictability and depth. Most men attempt connection through explanations, as if reciting enough details about their lives will earn admiration. But true connection is not built in explanation. It is built in tension, in shared silence, in the electricity of attention fully given without words. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius observed that the soul takes on the color of its thoughts. If your inner world is steady, it will show in your eyes. A restless man has restless eyes, always darting, seeking approval. A centered man has a steady gaze, unhurried, focused. This gaze alone is often enough to shift her energy, to make her curious, to encourage her to probe deeper. The key is balance. This is not about staring with intensity to intimidate her, nor about being cold or distant. It is about presence. When your gaze carries calm confidence, you create space in the interaction. You make her feel seen, not judged. And when you finally speak, your words carry weight precisely because they are not drowned in excess. She will remember you not for what you explained endlessly, but for how you made her feel in those silent moments. Think back. Have you ever experienced the power of a single look doing more than an hour of conversation? If not, it may be because you've been over-reliant on words instead of presence. This changes now. In your next interaction, slow down. When she talks, give her full attention. When your eyes meet, hold her gaze a moment longer. Resist the urge to immediately fill silence. Let your eyes communicate steadiness, clarity, and quiet intrigue. When you master this, your presence will stay with her long after you've left. She will remember not only what you said, but the calm certainty she felt in your gaze. That is the mark of a man who communicates with presence. Adopt this as your affirmation. I communicate with presence. It will transform the way women experience you, and it will make you unforgettable. The eighth principle is simple yet often ignored. Engage her intellect before you seek physical closeness. Without that deeper connection, even the most confident touch or the most polished charm will feel empty. Younger women in particular are accustomed to attention. Compliments, gestures, and superficial charm do not impress them for long. What they crave is depth, a sense that the man before them is not simply captivated by their beauty, but also attuned to their inner world. This connection begins not with your hands, but with your eyes, your words, and your presence. It is in the way you ask questions that matter, questions that move beyond small talk and reveal genuine curiosity. It is in the pauses you allow, giving space for her thoughts rather than rushing to fill every silence. It is in your ability to truly listen, not waiting for your turn to speak, but absorbing her meaning and responding with clarity. These small but powerful actions create the foundation for mental intimacy, which is the most enduring kind. The mistake many men make is to rush toward the physical, assuming that attraction is built by speed and touch. In reality, a discerning woman does not feel secure until she senses that her mind and emotions are seen. When you connect with her on that level, you create trust, curiosity, and a sense of comfort. That trust is not built through grand displays, but through presence. The way you choose your words, the way you remain calm and deliberate, and the way you hold her attention with composure all signals something rare. You are not hurried, you are not desperate, and you value her essence over appearances. The Stoics remind us that the soul reflects the color of our thoughts. When your inner life is stable, clear, and disciplined, she will feel it. Your calm energy will reassure her that your interest is not fleeting, but rooted in depth. This subtle recognition is often what causes her to soften, to lean in, to breathe more easily, and to feel drawn closer on her own terms. It is not a tactic of seduction, but the natural unfolding of intimacy born from trust. When touch finally arrives, it is no longer a performance or a conquest. It feels inevitable, the seamless continuation of a connection already established. This is where most men fail. not because they lack attraction, but because they lack patience, composure, and depth. You will not make that mistake. You understand that a bond built on intellect and emotion cannot be faked or rushed. So reflect carefully. Have you been focusing on impressing her physically while neglecting to engage her mind? If so, this is the moment to change course. Your strength lies not only in your presence, but in your willingness to connect where it truly matters. Take this principle as your own and affirm it. I connect with her mind first. This is the path to trust, intimacy, and a bond that endures. The ninth principle is to establish your boundaries with the same quiet authority you use to set a mood. Boundaries are not restrictions you impose on her, they are the framework by which you define yourself. Without them, attraction erodes. With them, respect flourishes. Take Travis, a 47-year-old architect from Denver. Calm, steady, and rooted in Stoic values, he begins seeing Brooke, a spirited 29-year-old with undeniable charm and a restless energy. Their chemistry is strong, but soon she begins testing the dynamic, arriving late, cancelling last minute, even flirting with others in front of him. Most men, faced with this, either explode with anger or retreat into passivity. Travis chooses a different approach. When Brooke texts that she's running late again, he responds evenly. That's all right. Let's cancel for tonight. I have a policy against rescheduling twice. No anger, no apologies, no explanations, just clarity. The result, Brooke quickly she apologizes, shows up early next time, and treats the relationship with greater respect. This illustrates a crucial point. Boundaries do not drive away the right woman. They filter out the wrong ones and invite the right ones closer. A woman's tests are not necessarily attacks. They are her way of discovering whether your strength is real. By responding with composure and consistency, you prove it. Stoicism teaches that freedom belongs only to the man who governs himself. That self-governance includes how you allow yourself to be treated. If you react emotionally to every boundary challenge, you surrender leadership. If you remain calm, firm, and steady, you show that your standards are not negotiable, and this is profoundly attractive. Setting boundaries is no different from setting an atmosphere. Just as you guide the tone of an evening with lighting, music, and energy, you guide the tone of the relationship with your principles. Both acts stem from the same place, inner discipline. You do not beg for respect. You embody it. Reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever drawn a line with clarity and strength? Did you notice how her behavior shifted afterward? These are the moments that redefine dynamics. If you recognize this as a skill you need to strengthen, declare it for yourself now. My boundaries define the interaction. With this, we prepare for the final and most transformative principle. Would you like me to carry forward into the 10th point? The 10th principle is the culmination of everything that came before. Create a sense of safety that allows her to be uninhibited. Many men confuse volatility with passion. They believe that unpredictability, drama, or emotional turbulence will excite a woman. In reality, the opposite is true. A woman enters her most alive, feminine, and unguarded state when she feels profoundly safe, not coddled, not placated, but deeply secure in the presence of a man who cannot be shaken. This safety is not the bland compliance of a man who avoids conflict or agrees with everything she says. It is the solidity of a man whose presence communicates, "You may reveal every side of yourself, and I will not flinch." When she feels that strength, she can drop the mask. Her laughter becomes unrestrained, her breathing slows, her touch lingers, and her eyes soften. She stops performing and instead reveals her authentic, unfiltered self, the playful, passionate, and untamed woman she longs to be. But she can only arrive there if you hold the space. That means not recoiling when she is vulnerable, not rushing to fix her discomfort, not trying to manage her storms. You allow her to be turbulent while you remain still. Like Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the rock against which the waves break, but which stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." This is the essence of masculine presence, an unmovable center that turns chaos into calm. Understand this. When a woman feels this level of security, her guard dissolves. She no longer needs to curate your opinion or play roles. She relaxes into the moment, her trust in you allowing her to access depths of intimacy she cannot reach with men who are reactive, needy, or controlling. Your role is not to be another source of instability in her world. It is to be the grounded container in which she can express her full spectrum of being, her joy, her fear, her playfulness, her desire. When she realizes that your presence remains steady no matter what emerges, she can finally surrender into trust. That surrender is the root of true connection and unshakable attraction. If this principle resonates with you, affirm it for yourself. I create safety, and she becomes free. Would you like me to now weave all 10 principles into a single closing statement that ties the guide together? When you provide this kind of presence, when she experiences that depth of trust, she will naturally begin to reveal parts of herself that are usually hidden. This is not because you've asked her to, but because her nervous system recognizes that it is safe. This isn't a tactic, it's a fundamental force of attraction. Once you embody it, every interaction will be transformed. Reaching this point signals that you are no longer a passive observer. You are actively reconnecting with your authentic self. The purpose of this work is not to hand you superficial tricks or temporary fixes. It is to guide you toward cultivating discipline, composure, and a presence that commands respect and inspires trust. If you are committed to developing your masculine presence and mastering your internal state, I invite you to subscribe. This journey is for men who are ready to rise above doubt and step into lasting strength. Thank you for your time and for choosing to walk this path.